Greetings everyone, Brad here with Mild-Mannered EDC. So this video is a response to an open tag from Slicey Dicey, fantastic channel. I hope you're following him if you're not, or subscribing to him if you're not. Get on over there and do that. Slicey's just a great reviewer and seems like a pretty cool dude. So anyways, this is sort of my response to that open tag, and his was labeled top 10 EDCs of all time. This is my sort of take on that. You know, I think everybody who's doing this, there's some great ones out there. JT's Knife Life, Big Red EDC, It's a Knife Style. A bunch of, I know more and more folks are going to probably be doing that, so it's great. And I think Slicey is compiling a playlist, so you'll be able to watch everybody's different iterations of this particular topic, and that's great. And I'm going to walk you through sort of the top 10, you know, what I consider sort of the top 10 in my collection. Some of them are, and that's sort of a subjective term. They're top 10 for a variety of reasons. Some have an emotional, you know, or historical component to them. Some I just think are fabulous knives. Some might be sort of iconic to the knife industry. And just, you know, these are the 10 that I grabbed when I started thinking about this and kind of reflecting on it. I thought these were the kind of the 10 that I think right now are probably the most key to my collection in terms of, like I said, having some component or another, rather, whether it's emotional or carry or whatever. There's a lot of great knives, and I actually have other knives that aren't on this that probably bother me that they're not on the list, but they're either that you can't get around, you can't get them very easily, or, you know, whatever it might be. So these are the 10 that I sort of landed on for this purpose. And so with that, let's go ahead and get underway. So the very first and the smallest, this is just a Victorinox Swiss Army, you know, classic. That's all this is. This is actually the first knife I ever got, you know, over 3 decades ago, probably at this point, maybe even longer. You know, never have replaced the tweezers on that. No idea where they went. Mangled, you know, just nasty old toothpick on there that I whittled on, or
that's good scrimshaw,
or did something with when I was young. You know, this is just, everybody I feel like has owned one at some point, if you're into knives, or even if you're just into convenience. Having one of these hanging off your keychain, I mean, or just throwing in your pocket or whatever, hanging off your backpack. These are just iconic, classic, like the name suggests, and I think good, decent little tools. I mean, you know, good pair of scissors. I actually like Victorinox scissors quite a bit. You know, you got a little tiny knife, a little file, a little screwdriver on the top of that file, by the way, a little flathead. You know, tweezers, toothpick. There you go. So, and I've called these a lot of times, you know, little mom and dad tools, right, that you carry around because it's just things that kids get into all the time. These can help you get out of it. So, anyways, there you go. The second knife on the list is a knife very familiar to everybody, I think, and that is the Ontario Rat number 1. This particular model is in D2. I do have an orange one, sort of mild-mannered color here in the Aus 8, and part of the reason I actually bought that was not that long ago, actually right at the beginning of the year, I was on a walk and broke the tip off doing something silly with it. But this is an iconic knife. I mean, you know, I think Slicey mentioned in his, it's got that sort of iconic action, that sound that everybody loves. I mean, it's got a great sound when you actually flip it open, right? So yeah, I mean, I love this one. It's OD green. It's the only knife I have in my collection that's this sort of OD green color. But yeah, I mean, it's a little big. I don't carry it a ton. It is my go-to outside knife, though. I mean, this sits in my garage at my workbench, you know, near the lawnmower. Just about anything I've done with this knife at this point, and it's pretty roughed up, but it keeps on ticking. So can't go wrong. I mean, you know, the Rat number 2, you know, I actually haven't owned one. I don't have one. I need to get one, I think, into my collection probably just to check it out, but I've always enjoyed this. I enjoyed the ergonomics, a little heavy, but yeah, there you go. Rat number 1. The next one's pretty iconic. Yeah, I mean, it's the Spyderco Delica. Again, another knife that I've used the heck out of. And this was sort of, as I think a lot of people, you know, if you've been away from knives for a while, like I think many of us have, and then come back into the hobby more as a young adult or as an adult, you know, we start to revisit and we start to go online and look at resources and go, you know, what do I need? What do I need to kind of start and see if I'm still into knives? And this is one that always seems to invariably end up in in your shopping cart at some retailer or another. And it's a cool knife, right? I mean, it's, you know, it's way overpriced these days. And I don't necessarily recommend it. I think there are better options out there for the price anymore. I mean, it's VG10 steel, you know, et cetera, but it's still a fantastic everyday carry. You know, I sanded the black clip so I could have more of a silver clip, but yeah, I mean, you can get them in different colors. They're even in different steels now and whatnot. I mean, even high end. You know, fit and finish isn't fantastic, but it is what it is. And, you know, I threw up a video of this. I posted up a video of this on my Instagram not long ago. Feel free to follow that if you're interested, at mild-mannered EDC. But it was sort of asking the question, you know, do people still carry the Delica? Is it still relevant? Is it still a knife? And there were a lot of response. I got a lot of views and a lot of responses that, yeah, they, you know, apart from price, which seemed to be sort of the universal gripe, a lot of people still love or have a soft spot in their heart for their Delica, or still use it every day as their everyday carry. So very capable knife, good knife, back lock, you know, hard to argue with, apart from that price. But there you go. Now this one, oh geez, as I fumble through all the knives I've got lined up here. This one is the Kizer T1. And this particular knife, you know, I actually think, and I'll make a bold statement here, I think this is the best knife Kizer has ever produced. I think this is just, not only is it a beautiful design, Uli Henneke, it's got gorgeous lines to it. I mean, just a beautiful blade, beautiful. I mean, it's just a gorgeous knife. I mean, on a lot of levels. The action is phenomenal. You know, thumb studs, but just, man, there's a lot to like about this knife. It's, you know, this finds itself in my pockets. You know, sometimes it's one of those where I'm like, what do I want to carry today? And I'm looking around, I'm like, yeah, I want that T1 again. I'll fidget with it, you know, and I'm one of those guys, don't tell anybody, that fidgets in the car with his knives. So like, well, waiting at a light or, you know, in traffic or something. And I just love this knife. Like I said, I think it's the best thing Kizer's ever made. Still, you know, I know they make a lot of great knives and I own a lot of great Kizers, but this one, yeah, this one just speaks to me on a level that, yeah, I think it's a really, if you're looking for, you know, a great everyday carry that just has clean classic lines and kind of a beautiful traditional look and great action, thumb studs, etc., can't go wrong with the T1. So there you go. All right, next one's a little different. This is the Real Steel Metamorph. That's right, and this happens to be the G5 version, but there have been different versions of this as it's gone out. So why would I add this to the list? It's kind of a funky EDC, right, in some ways. But one, you know, I'm a big Ostap. He's the designer. I think his name is on there somewhere. There you go. I really like his aesthetic, kind of futuristic and modern, but clean. But the biggest thing for this, in my view, was this was really the first well-made, and I mean, this got me into being interested in front flippers, honestly. And, you know, I know there were other front flippers out there. They've been out there before, but they were always expensive. And I just, you know, when I bought this, it was like, I don't want to spend a bunch on a knife that I may not like front flipping. That may not be something I enjoy. And so, you know, you could still get these between like 50 and 60 bucks. I know there are a lot of iterations out there. This one's in aluminum, but I know you can get it in different colors. You can get it in M390. I mean, all different steels. I know there's carbon fiber and G10 and, you know, a million different iterations at this point. Every retailer seems to have an exclusive of some variety on this knife at this point. But yeah, I just think this is a really capable, easygoing, you know, slips into your pocket, totally tucks away with that deep carry pocket clip. Just as discreet a carry as you can have. Doesn't even look like a knife in some ways. And yeah, I love it. It's a knife I carry often and enjoy. It's got a fun action. It's a little big. It's got a pretty good sized blade on it, but you know, hey, this is about, you know, the knives that I think are cool in that top 10. And that means something to me. And this is one that has I've always gravitated towards, still do to this day. I mean, you can see it's got some pretty good wear and tear on it too. I'm a guy that uses his knives, so So here you go, the Real Steel Metamorph. All right, now this one might be a little polarizing. I could see some comments going, oh my gosh, who would pick that? But it's a Spyderco Advocate.
Are you insane?
Now, so this has some personal attachment, some personal sentimental value to me. And some of that has to do with the name. Some of it has to do with just, yeah. But this is just a phenomenal knife. And I know this was early in Spyderco's, attempts at doing flippers. And I know there was the initial one that had, dishing out of the pivot, what do you call them, bushings, etc. Whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter so much to me. This is the CQI version that they did. But gosh, that Gale Bradley with the M4, CPM M4. I mean, this blade is just a beast. I mean, if you want to do some long cutting and never have to worry about sharpening, I mean, not never, but you know what I mean? It just goes and goes and goes and goes. His Gale Bradley blades are just phenomenal for that. And like I said, I think this is a beautifully made knife. I know some people, Nick Shabazz, hate orange peel. Fine. But if you can, as you can see, I have a MXG Gear clip on there. I replaced the clip, but I'm actually not sure I like that. I've been kind of messing around with it, but yeah, I just think this is a cool knife. It's fun. I like the way it deploys. Mine's always been very smooth. Yeah, it's just a fun knife. And like I said, it's got some sentimental value to me. It's got some other meanings for me. And by and large, I just think it's a knife that does exactly what Spyderco does with their knives, which is make knives that cut really well, that are ergonomic, fun to use, and that you can always rely on and trust. And this is one of those that will always be in my collection because I just am a fan. I know there are lots of advocate haters out there, but this gentleman isn't one of them. So there you go, the Spyderco Advocate. All right. Next one is on the budget line with good old Kershaw. And I have a video up about my top 3 budget knives, and this is one of them. The Kershaw Atmos, I think, is just a great knife. This is my car knife, as I've talked about before. I think it has one of the funnest actions and sort of sounds of just about any of the knives in my collection. I just really enjoy it. And for $25, I think this is still one of the best deals on the market. Now, there are some other newer knives that I think are sort of nipping at its heels these days. But yeah, I mean, it's HCR, blah, blah, blah. Dmitry Sinkovich design, though. Can't go wrong with that. And yeah, I just think for the money, and if you're getting into knives, if you're starting out, or if you're just looking to maybe give a gift to somebody, and you're not sure, are they going to be a knife person? Are they going to be into any of this? Yeah. The Kershaw Atmos is just... it's a cool knife. It's a cool knife. It's a great knife. It's a capable knife. It sits in my car all the time, except for when I take it out to do reviews or comparisons. But there you go. It'll go back into my truck momentarily after this video is concluded. So the next one is not one that you can get currently, but there is a new iteration coming of it. And this was sort of the first where I ventured onto a sort of new company, something that I didn't know that much about, and that's the Monterey Bay Knives. Ooh, look, it's got some gunk on it. Sorry about that. Monterey Bay Knives EDC. And, I had just bought a Laconico Keen at the time, and I loved the Keen. And I was like, wow, this Keen is so cool. It's, got a phenomenal action. I had the purple one. Purple was cool, whatever. I love their logo, by the way, too. Such a cool logo. And I just thought to myself, gosh, it's just a little big. The Keen was just a little big for what I like to carry. And so when I saw this come out, and I was like, all right, $180, small knife, whatever, let's just do it. And I did it, and I love it. I love it. It's a quintessential EDC knife. I mean, first of all, Ray Laconico. I love Ray Laconico designs. Clean, a lot of the designs here, for the most part, clean, sort of modern, classic looking. That's sort of my style. And yeah, all but sterile blade with the exception of, that cool logo, which they have. I had an opportunity to meet Sanford Owens who runs Carmel Cutlery, and one of the dudes that It's partnered with Ray Laconico with Monterey Bay Knives down at his knife shop last summer when my family was camping down there. He was just an awesome guy. Talked to me for a long time at his cool shop down there. If you're ever in Carmel by the Sea, go check it out because it's a great shop. But yeah, just a cool knife. I love it. I know there's a new version, and I thought to myself, well, maybe I should sell this knife and try to get one of the newer ones that comes out. And I may do that, but I also may just keep this and get the new one anyway. So, so that may be where this goes. But yeah, this is the MBK EDC. Love it. Great everyday carry knife. If not, a little bit on the small side. Now the next one, you know, I know it's newer to the scene, and I just did a video comparing it to the Hogue Deca, which I really like as well. But I tell you, you know, for lightweight, and especially if you're like me, where you like to just throw on a pair of gym shorts or something, or you just want something super lightweight that you don't feel in your pocket. And I have not had a Para 3 lightweight, and so that may be something that could be a competitor here as well. And I need to check on that. But you know, I need to try maybe get one of those so I can do a comparison. But for me and for my purposes, Bugout's a cool knife. I just like it. I like the action. I like the blade style. I mean, plastic handles do not bother me really at all. I love deep carry. For me, this is about a capable knife that weighs almost nothing. That's 150% why I own this knife, why I like this knife, and why I carry it fairly frequently. It costs too much. I've said that in a recent video. It just costs too darn much, and I wish they would lower the price, because this is, to me, a $100 knife, and at $100, this is a knife everybody should own at $100. But it's not $100, it's like $130, and I just think that's too much. But regardless, it's just a cool knife. And, you know, I know there are a lot of people who don't like the Bugout because of the, you know, the scales or whatever, but it doesn't bother me in the slightest. And you know, I challenge anybody to try to get a knife this light, this good, without making some compromises. And I don't think Benchmade made too many compromises on this. So that's just my opinion. But yeah, Benchmade Bugout, you know, it'll stay in my collection. I just have the standard blue because I'm a boring individual. But beyond that, yeah, I love the Benchmade Bugout. Great knife. Definitely part of what I would consider sort of my top 10 in my collection that I think are noteworthy here. Benchmade Bugout. Now, the final knife on my list, and I do have some honorable mentions, but I'm not even going to mention them because this was about top 10, and I'm going to try to stick strictly to the top 10, even though I've got some knives staring at me right now going, why am I not on your list? Man, I have served you. Why will you not put me on the list? But yeah, they're just going to have to hang tight. But this is the Spyderco Caparo. Similar to the statement I made about the Kizer T1, I think this is the best thing that Spyderco currently makes.
The best, Jerry. The best.
This is the CQI version, so you get, yeah. It is drop shutty like nobody's business. It has a, you know, it's big. It's by no means is this a small knife. Ergonomically, this is the best knife in my collection. I mean, just super ergonomic. Love it, love it, love it. I think the carbon fiber, I mean, I don't know why they don't do carbon fiber like this all the time on Spyderco knives, but it is. And in fact, one of the reasons I was hesitant to sell my previous version of this knife was because I thought I maybe got like a, you know, this sounds stupid, but I was like, wow, my carbon fiber was so awesome on my other knife. No flaws, no blemishes, no voids, nothing. I don't want to lose that and get something that, yeah, I'll get the better action, but I won't like the, you know, my OCD will come back and I'll find a little void and it'll bug me forever and ever. Nope. Equally perfect on this knife, which leads me to believe they're probably just doing that with all of them. It's just a gorgeous knife. I mean, it carries beautifully. It's right in line. You'll notice, you know, my thin, you know, carries easily. Definitely, you know, yeah. Compression lock. You know, it's funny. I'm not a huge compression lock guy. I find it a little awkward in some ways, but doesn't take away my love of this knife. In fact, if this had one of those button lock ones like the Smock has, oh yeah, Spyderco, why are you not putting that on every single one of your knives? But Spyderco Caparo, I just think it's you know, Alistair Phillips, designer. Sorry if I didn't mention that. I'm getting along talking in my head, I think, more than than I am on the video here, CPM S30V. So, not a fancy steel. They certainly haven't done any sprint runs on it or anything like that, which I know people are clamoring for. And I probably would be too. But for me, there it is. I think this is a beautiful, beautiful knife. Spyderco just hit it out of the park with this one. And I love it. And it'll be in my collection probably for forever. So there you go. Let me line these bad boys up for you if I can on the screen here. Kind of an eclectic bunch, and that's okay. That kind of speaks to me. Oops, am I going to run out of space? Probably. Oh, I got my Delica somewhere in here. There we go. So that's them. That's the 10. Those are the mild-mannered 10, at least for the moment. I already can see, and Slicey Dicey mentioned in his video that he did this a while ago and then immediately was like, I want to put something different up because he had regrets on what he listed. And that very well could be with me. Like I said, there are some ones that right now I wish I should just be, it's like they're pulling my hand down to bring them up and show them to you and talk to you because I love them and carry them frequently, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it to 10, and these are my 10, and we're going to leave it at that. So thanks for watching, everybody. Slicey Dicey, thanks for doing an open tag on this. It was a great idea. It's a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing, anybody else's videos that they put out. I think I've watched most of them that have come out so far. I look forward to seeing yours, even if you're not a normal reviewer or doing that kind of stuff. Tell me down in the comments. Show me a list, or just throw a video up on YouTube. It's really pretty easy. You don't have to do any editing or anything crazy. Just throw them up there and say, here are my top 10, and see what kind of reaction you get. So, there you go. I'm sure I'll hear some interesting comments about the knives I've chosen here. But there you go. I hope everybody's being well out there, staying safe, be mild-mannered to each other, look out for each other, look out for your family, and all the best.